some ways
died
too,
in
my friend.
Iran.
Hold on. Millions died. How long was that?
Wait. We're talking of, no, that's Iraq. I'm
Both.
talking about Iran in the 50s.
Both. This is the problem. We're trying to gaslight and say that things were just that really wasn't that bad. If millions of people died, that was bad. If it took a long time, because is Iran a stable environment right now?
Okay,
No.
well, why don't we look at the data point that's closest to this, and that's Manuel Noriega.
Nice.
Rick, how many
You wanna
people
talk about
died when Manuel Noriega was out?
Oh, that is perfect.
Sure.
That's perfect. With Manuel Noriega, did thousands of people die?
I have no idea.
Yes, you keep
That's
ignoring the
Rick to do a data
So
check.
okay, so we had that. Did we go to the proper channels of going through Congress?
No. Did we? I don't know.
In
We
Panama?
did not.
All right. So but we'll get to a couple others.
Here's another question. Here's another question for you, Rick. Now, when we took out Manuel Noriega, if you quote unquote want to say it's a success, are people still trying to immigrate from a destabilized area up north?
Yeah.
So again, it was not a success. You want to sit here and say that these things were successful?
You asked Rick one question.
That's not what I wanted to say.
That's not
what I wanted to say. I wanted to list
that's
the
not
countries.
the answer. Come on.
I wanted to list the countries where we've done regime change. So Libya under Obama, complete disaster. Iraq under Bush, complete disaster, more than 1 million people dead. Afghanistan went pretty well at first, and then we were in there for 20 years, and it ended disastrously.
It was a disaster from the start.
You know, the thing is that's your interpretation.
Here's another question, Nick. Here's another question. Now,
you guys live in La La Land.
Listen up. I want you to answer this. Now, we kidnapped Maduro. Is Maduro?
Oh my Lord! You guys are so off base. It's not
Listen to what I'm
funny.
saying, Nick.
You know how many people were killed in the Panamanian regime change? 314.
Here's your answer,
and
but
then
you can't
23 on the other side.
Nick,
You guys live. You're living in a bubble.
Nick,
You're
let
living
me
in a bubble,
ask you this
buddy.
question.
You
Nick,
know,
let
it's
me
just
ask you
not
this
true.
question. Nick,
It's
let
right
me
there
ask-
on Wikipedia.
Nick, I don't care about
Just
your phone. You have
Google
an iPhone.
Panama regime
Also,
change.
Let me
Right?
ask
And
you
you'll
this
see the
question. Nick,
videos.
let me ask you this question. Nick,
Okay.
can I ask you this question?
You're so full of it,
Now,
Jacoby.
Nick,
Come on,
can
man.
I ask you this question? Nick,
You know?
let
Sure,
me
go
ask
ahead,
you this
ask me a
question. Nick, hello. Let me ask you a
Yeah.
question. So we kidnapped Maduro. Who did we put in charge in that area?
His vice president is currently in charge.
So we okayed for his vice president to be there. So his government is still intact. So we didn't really change much. Now, his vice president was handpicked by Maduro. So Trump also gave the blessing for that handpicked Maduro pick to run Venezuela now. What was the first comments that handpicked individual stated?
That she still supports Maduro, I think.
So then what did we do?
And then she changed her mind. She said she's willing to work with the U.S.
Nick. I asked you a
Please,
question.
please do not put half truths on this channel. Put the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say.
What did
So,
we
you
do?
know, it's amazing that you choose the demographics you want and ignore the rest. And Panama, go look at it on Wikipedia. It's right there. Regime change. 300 people died, and Panama is actually a very thriving country right now. So to say that U.S. fails all the time in Latin America, that is not true. You know. So speak.
Obviously, you do not know your history. You do not.
No, it's not history. It's facts, Jacoby. You're making up history.
Yeah, I just gave you the facts. I
There's
just gave you.
Nick, I had a quick. Hold on a second, both of you. I had a quick question, and I know
I invite
I was
anybody
working
who's
with
listening.
Rick. I
Go
was
to
working with Rick
Wikipedia
last night.
and
But I
type
had a
in
quick question. Hold on. I had a quick question for both of you. Hold on.
Wikipedia.
Hold
I
on.
was willing to be wrong, but unfortunately, you're wrong.
No, quick question
Go
for
to
both
I
of
don't
you.
care.
Because what I've heard
I
is that this
Rick,
is
come
going
on,
to.
go
Quick
ahead.
question for both of you, because what I've heard is this is going to destabilize Latin America. He's already made a threat to Colombia. He's already said
That's
that
your
Cuba
thing.
is teetering on disaster because some people are not the biggest fans of Cuba. Even though I know
Cuba
some
has
people
always
travel
been a disaster.
Nick likes to
There's
overtalk.
no way it can be any worse than it is right now. You know, part of the reason he invaded Venezuela, 82% of the people in Venezuela
dumb.
live in
Your argument is
poverty. You can't
Hey,
screw it up
your
any more than having a huge civil war.
We did not
So all
invade
you're
for the
saying
people. We
is
invaded for the
garbage.
oil.
And,
Trump
and
already
Cuba's the
stated
same
that.
way.
Trump
It's a
stated
dirt
we
hole.
invaded
It's a
for the oil.
socialist dirt
So we
hole.
cannot sit here
You
and
know,
have
what did
discussion
Trump
if you're going to
call it?
keep
I forgot what he
saying.
called it. They like
So,
dirt.
so hold on a second, Nick. So it's
You
going to
know?
be better by
So
having.
you guys can
So
say
it's going
what
to be
you
better with
want,
us running
do
two
what you
countries.
want,
Hold
but
on.
the
So
facts
it's going to
don't
be better with
support
us
you.
running two
You're
countries
wrong.
because he's already said that we're going to be running that country as well. So he's already said that Marco Rubio and the rest of our gang is going to be who's
Oh
going to
yeah,
be running.
Rubio has an axe to grind. He's got an agenda. You guys don't understand. I went to the University of Miami. Okay, if you go to Miami and you guys in
Who
Raleigh,
cares?
that football team
Who
sucks.
cares?
Your football team
Who
gets
cares that you went to the
kicked out of
University of Miami?
Miami to you. And there's a
So
bunch
what?
of people in Miami
You're
that
not
have an
living
axe
in
to
Miami
grind.
now,
They have
are
an
you?
agenda.
You didn't even.
One
you
is
left.
Marco Rubio,
You
the
left.
graduate of the
So
U.
So what? Okay,
By the way, he was
cool.
gonna kick
You're a
you
graduate
because
of
you left.
Miami, but you went over and you're living in Spain now. So you
I
don't.
gotta get my Miami cup and explain to you because you guys don't live in Miami, never lived in Miami.
You don't
understand.
live in Miami. You didn't live in Miami, and that's why you left right now. So again, we ended up kidnapping Maduro, left the actual second in command, the handpicked individual that Maduro picked in charge. She's an oil exec. We legitimately went into Venezuela for the oil, as Trump stated. We are now going to let oil companies, the same oil companies that donated to his actual campaign, run that area now. Where now, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick. In what was it in the 1990s? Was it that Venezuela and the American oil companies had an issue because Venezuela then signed over the oil profits or oil to the Venezuelan people? And
yeah,
now,
but then they screwed it all up, and the Venezuelan people didn't get shit.
They did. And now what's going to happen is the American oil companies are going to come in and take that oil, which is that oil profit, which is supposed to go to the Venezuelan people in the first place, which is what would have happened had we actually liberated Venezuela.
Yeah, that's likely. So, I mean, I'm looking at the headlines from the Daily Mail, which is a bad thing to look at because it's a piece of crap paper from the UK. But their headline is Venezuela's new leader is hardline socialist who kept Maduro in power for years. She's already making threats against, you know.
They are so full of it. You guys are reading garbage. The fact is that government has given their people zero. So what happens is they take the oil, it goes to the cartels. They don't get jack. All right. The United States actually has a plan which they distribute and have distributed oil dividends to the individuals. The plan is called Alaska.
No, you're lying.
Okay,
no, they
you
haven't.
guys may not be familiar.
No, they haven't.
You guys are fighting the Civil War. You don't even know what's going on in the rest of the world. Let me tell you something. In Alaska, if you guys move to Alaska, you get $2,000 a year oil dividend. Hello? So the U.S. has a history of doing this. You guys just don't know what you're talking about because you never leave Raleigh. Leave Raleigh or go to the internet, look it up, and you're going to see the Alaska oil dividend. I thought about moving to Alaska. They're going to be $2,000 a year. Really, for doing nothing except I live in an oil country.
Yeah, you get
have a history of doing this.
You lie.
The Moderno administration does not. So all you supporters of those
legitimately came on here and lied and then are steadily trying to push it by saying, hey, this is going to be like
real communists. These guys
there is no plan.
Forget it.
There is no plan. The only plan, the only thing that was stated, the only thing that was stated is that the American oil companies,
people of Miami,
this is why, and Sasha, can you help me look this up? The American oil companies stocks have gone higher today based on what what just happened, that doesn't help the Venezuelan people. Those are American oil companies. That does nothing for the Venezuelan people.
Look, they need the American oil companies. We've gone over this, Toby, because the Venezuelan people do not have the capital nor the intelligence,
all this
operations to drill.
Let
They
somebody
do
get
not know how to do that.
word in. All right,
They
so
need the American capitalists. They need the American engineers. You know what happened to Venezuelan engineers? They all left. Once your leftist socialists came in, they left the country. 8 million left. So you have a failed state. We've gone over this before. It's a failed socialist state. And now, for the first time, they have an opportunity.
Come on, let somebody else get a word in here. Let somebody else. So
Sasha has something he wants to say.
A few things. Number one, you are absolutely right that it doesn't help Venezuelan people. But I want to add something. It doesn't help American people. Also, all this, American oil companies, they have shareholders, they have operators, they have management. They may benefit. I'm saying may, because it's not oil that you just bring trucks and get this oil to the terminals or so on. You have to spend billions of dollars to start extracting this oil, to put all this updated systems and service to really get this oil out of the ground and sell it. So supposedly American companies will do these investments now because thanks to Trump, they have established their rights to this oil. Okay, so they will invest billions, they will extract this oil, they will sell it, so they will have better profits for their shareholders. What it has to do with American people. So Americans are spending millions and millions, if not more money, to get to Venezuela, to bring its fleet, to protect American oil company, which has nothing to do with interests of American people. American people are struggling to get by, to get some food at reasonable prices and so on. And here, the billions of dollars are spent on military campaign in order to protect interests of American oil company. It doesn't add up, okay?
No, it does add up. Okay, first of all, American people are not struggling, Sasha. You live in a Canadian dream. American people are doing better than they ever have. The stock market, I don't know if you checked the market in the United States, Sasha. It's up like 16%. And if you want to participate in the American market, you do like your doctor friend says, invest in the S&P 500. Look, there's nothing that says the people of Venezuela cannot invest in U.S. Oil stocks. Nothing. Okay, so if you don't invest and you lose, what my thinking is the Americans are the most generous people on the planet. They are the most generous people on the planet. And so what happens is, don't be surprised if there's an oil dividend given to all the Venezuelans.
There is no oil dividend. There's been no oil dividend for the U.S. people.
Because look what happened to Saudi Arabia. They spread the wealth around to the Saudis. And that's the reason they're doing very well. How are they doing right now under your socialist, communist ruling? They're doing horribly. 82% are in poverty. So you have a failing grade, and we have a blueprint to make it an A+ grade. So you just got to get off your liberal butts and move to the right.
This is how dumb
to the right, please.
Dumb your argument is. You're just going to ramble.
Get off this liberals are going to solve everything because you proved you couldn't.
Nick,
82% poverty.
Why are you filibustering?
So let's throw the poverty line out again.
You're a filibuster. Just go to the background. Now, this is how dumb that argument is. One, you just talked about the poverty rate of the individuals in Venezuela, but yet you claim that supposedly the American companies that don't give dividends to the American people are going to give dividends to the Venezuelan people. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, that's really right. And then
cost of doing business, my friend.
You're going to try and filibuster me, but don't. Now, this is another dumb stuff. You're telling these same individuals in Venezuela who are in poverty that, hey, look, we have the we have the way to make you rich. We're going to tell you to invest into the stock market. Well, have you looked at the poverty rate in the U.S. and has that helped the people in the U.S.? No, it hasn't. So the people in the U.S. are actually struggling as well. But yet you're claiming that this is one thing. We're going to go ahead and grant everybody with these American companies that are now making all this great money. Do you also realize this is also another, just as a segue and an offshoot, how you wanted to bring up Noriega and the whole situation in Panama? Well, it was great. Well, you know what happened in Panama also is that the opposition party was already going to be in power when we removed Noriega, even though we had still problems in Panama, which still led to a lot of deaths and still led to a lot of problems. You know what we did in Venezuela? What Trump did was pick the second in command of Maduro and keep the actual individuals in power who were already causing the problems. So you did dumb things there as well. And you already dismissed the opposition party, saying that they did not have support. So you kicked the opposition party out, who was actually the duly elected leader in Venezuela. So therefore, not only are you telling them dumb advice that, oh, hold on to the hopes and dreams that the American companies are now going to pay you money, but you also said that, hey, look, we're going to keep the same people in power that were causing you problems in the first place. We're just going to go ahead and be the rulers of it now so we can actually take the oil profits instead of Maduro. So this right here was idiotic from the start. There was no plan in place, and everything you're advocating for, Nick, is dumb.
We don't know what's going to happen. However, Delcy Rodriguez, acting president of Venezuela, has now offered a conciliatory message to the U.S. and Trump. He invited the U.S. to collaborate with her government to strengthen coexistence. So there is a chance that the oil companies go in there, they update infrastructure, they increase oil production, and the people of Venezuela may actually. We don't know. We don't know what's
going to happen. I did have a question for you based on Delcy Rodriguez, who is the acting president now and everything like that. One of the things that they're saying about her is that she is a technocrat. So what exactly is a technocrat, Rick? And what is this a good thing that she is a technocrat? That's one of the things that they're saying is that she might be willing more to negotiate because she is a supposed technocrat.
She's an oil exec.
Okay, so she might be willing to play ball. So, when we did this in Iraq, it didn't go well. It turned into civil war. So is this going to be, I doubt this is going to be another Iraq, but
Rick, hold on.
Do we have more of a plan here? No. The Trump and when we went into Iraq, the people in charge said we were going to be greeted with flowers. So they didn't have a plan. It turned to shit.
Well, speaking of no plans and everything like this, this is to hold on a second. This is to Nick and everything, because apparently not only is he mentioning Colombia, but and the Danish are not happy, but he's going back again saying that we need Greenland, and he said this today and everything. So Trump is now repeating his threat to annex a Danish territory, which is basically Greenland and everything like that. So we're just going to go over, and is Trump just going to be like a world emperor and just take over the whole world?
No, if he tries to take over Greenland, he's an idiot, because Greenland is through Denmark, part of NATO. And he can't go right up against NATO. That's
what
insanity.
Is stopping him.
Nothing. Let's hear from our Asian friend.
What is stopping him?
Let's
right
hear from
now,
Dr.
he went
Teresa.
into a sovereign nation and just kidnapped the president of that sovereign nation.
Okay,
what is
let me remind you, what is the Monroe Doctrine, which Trump is now implementing? It means the right of United States of America to install friendly governments to United States on the all American hemisphere. That, by the way, includes Canada. And if Carney, our prime minister, is not deemed to be friendly to the United States, he might as well be captured, replaced, tried for crimes, whatever they are, and so on. Now, Mexico is in real danger because Mexico, in fact, supplying drugs to United States. So Mexico is on the block, and the Mexican Prime Minister, she has to be very, very careful about her well-being because she can be captured now anytime in next 45 minutes. She could be history. So essentially, in Western Hemisphere, everything is up for grabs for Trump. Even Brazil. Brazil doesn't have a friendly government to the United States. So Brazil has to be worked out and replaced. By the way, Canada now acquired a substantial amount of drones from, guess what, Ukraine, because Ukraine have absolutely superior drone technology. So now all across Canada with the United States, there will be a wall of drones just in case that there would be attempt to
Hey,
cross the
speaking of
border.
Ukraine, and I know you've got your show coming up and everything, Sasha, on tomorrow and everything
Yeah.
like that. But apparently, there was a major, while this was going on in the U.S., there was a major shakeup in the Zelensky cabinet, and people are wondering what impact this is going to have on that war and those peace negotiations. So, can you tell us a little bit about that? I did hear that I think it was one of the spy chiefs is now going to be Zelensky's right hand man, and all along those lines. So, what's up with the latest shakeup in Ukraine's politics?
What peace negotiations are you talking about? There is no peace, there are no negotiations. So this is all history. It's done. Okay, Trump spent a year of, of him being in power for absolutely nothing. He was trying to do the shtick to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, with invasion of Venezuela, there are no chances whatsoever for him to get Peace Prize. So he's not worried about Nobel Peace Prize anymore because he's never gonna get it. So now he's going, okay, today is Venezuela, tomorrow is Mexico, then Brazil, then something else come along. Greenland, I doubt it. Canada, serious doubts about that. So he will find. By the way, what's interesting is that he's infatuated with some Latin American countries. For example, like Argentina, who's got from Trump $40 billion, with a deficit growing now approaching $39 trillion. United States, where there are no problems whatsoever, they just give, okay, here's $40 billion for you. You're a good boy. I like you. Here's $40 billion. Now, he may have another country there, here and there, that he would provide some assistance, so called. But again, everything what's going on now with Trump's policy, there is no support from American people. There is no any indication from Congress, from Senate, from anybody to endorse this operation or even approve it at some level. No, he is acting as a king of the United States. Congratulations to you guys, you have a king, and he will conduct anything what he wants, when he wants, and he doesn't have to report to anybody. Enjoy.
I have some numbers on Venezuela oil revenue. Before Hugo Chavez and Maduro came in 2011, they made $73 billion. By 2020, it was down to $4 billion. So a 94% drop. 2023, $4 billion because of incompetence in the government, because of aging infrastructure. So if this thing that Trump pulled leads to the oil companies getting in there, fixing infrastructure, and this new president, plays ball. They could increase their oil revenue from $4 billion to $100 billion a year. Who's going to get that money? Well, certainly the oil companies will take a bunch of it. Will any of it make it to the Venezuelan people? Probably some of it. Will it benefit America?
Wait a sec. You're missing a very important thing. How much money has to be invested in Venezuela oil industry before you will get $100 billion?
I don't know. I assume $10 billion in infrastructure.
Why not 50? And by the way, first of all, this money, okay, supposedly this money will come from US oil companies. So US oil companies will recapture this investment and start making profits. My point is what it has to do with American people. Absolutely nothing.
And I want to put it this way, Rick, you know, if I were maybe 30, 40 years younger and had the speed of Usain Bolt, I could be a world record holder too. But we can all dream. But the reality is the reality. You just stated for a fact that the US oil companies are going in to actually build this infrastructure. As Sasha points out, they're going to say it costs them a particular amount of money. They're going to want to recoup their costs before they pay anybody out. And then in terms of paying anybody out, are you stating that the American oil companies are going to pay the Venezuelan people and not the American people? So
yeah, they're going to get a dividend. That's what happens.
It's not going to happen. What's going to happen?
Yeah, it happens in Alaska.
Management.
You know, you just don't
That is
recognize
what
it.
took place.
Yeah, it does happen.
I mean,
It happens in Alaska. It also happens in Saudi Arabia, Jacoby.
The
look it up.
Canadian companies
Saudi
paying
Arabia, well,
Canadian-
Canada, it may not happen.
Nick, you're
Canada
just
has
trying to
dirty
make up
oil and
gas
dirty
thing.
politics.
Is Venezuela
So it may not
the
happen in
Canadian
Canada.
companies?
I don't think
Giving a
Sasha got his
kickback
oil
to the
dividend.
Canadian people is different from an American company giving a kickback to the Venezuelan people. So Nick,
It's not
you're
a
making
kickback,
up
it's a
crap
dividend.
to try and justify it. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
It does work. It worked in
It
Saudi
doesn't.
Arabia.
Nick, you've given me
Aramco
no
gives
clue.
dividends to the
Okay,
Saudi
Nick,
people. It works
Here,
in
give me a question.
Alaska.
Here, help me
Go,
out.
go
Help me
check
out.
it out.
Nick,
It doesn't
Nick,
work in North
Nick,
Carolina because you guys don't have
prove me
oil.
wrong right here now.
I can't
want you
help
to
it.
prove me
You
wrong.
don't
Nick,
have
prove
oil
me wrong
and your
right here now.
football team sucks.
Wait,
So
Nick,
what
listen,
can
I want
tell
you. I'm gonna give you the opportunity to prove me wrong. Now, tell me a
Yeah, I will.
foreign. Now, Nick,
Not
listen,
hard.
listen. You're not listening. I want you to prove me wrong right here and now, and this will get me to shut up completely. Now, prove me wrong.
No.
Give me a foreign oil company, not an American oil company, that has given a kickback to the U.S. people.
They don't give kickbacks. They give dividends.
Then be quiet with your made-up analogy or your.
Well, speaking of
No,
made up
I'm
analogies,
saying
hold on a second. Hold on a second. Speaking of
dividends.
made up analogies, I do have something I've got to ask you. I got
That's just
something I've got
weird.
to ask Nick because Nick lives in Spain now, and I guess he's a supporter of some of the Spanish government, maybe not all of it, since he now lives in Spain. And apparently, Spain was one of several countries that condemned this attack. So Spain and 5 Latin American countries rejected the U.S. attack on Venezuela in a joint communique that they gave earlier today. So they have strongly condemned what they're calling a violation of international law and everything like that. So what do you think about your new leader doing this? Because apparently the Spanish people are not happy with this Venezuelan attack.
Well, they're wrong. I mean, they're just like the American people. They're wrong. The Venezuelans in Spain support what happened. Period. So who has more at stake, Spain or the Venezuelans in Spain? It's obvious the Venezuelans in Spain. Same with America. There's a bunch of liberal idiots running around who are condemning this attack, but the Venezuelan people in America support this tremendously, Mark.
So your argument is that
He'll change his mind eventually.
let me ask you this. Now, your argument is that if you don't support Trump's actions, then you're just some liberal idiot. Is that what you're saying?
No, I didn't say his actions. I said this particular item.
Oh,
that
so
he
now you're
addressed.
trying to parse your own words. Now you're trying to
No,
parse your own words.
I'm saying what I'm
So are
saying.
you
You're
saying
trying to
can't
make me say what you're saying.
You're
And
trying
so
to
the
parse
thing
your
is,
words.
I,
Let me
you know,
There's
you
no
want
words,
me to
but let's get
support
on to
anything
another
that Trump
topic.
does.
Just really,
Are you saying
let's
that
get on
That's
to
not what
another
I
topic.
said.
Just really
I'm
quickly.
saying on this particular case, this is a winning play. So I'd like to hear from Asia because they represent 50% of the
shed no
population.
tears
So maybe
for
Dr.
Hold on,
Sharif has an
Dr.
opinion.
Sharif. Dr. Sharif, what did you think of the attack and what's going on in Asia other than the attack?
Yeah. Okay. This is very interesting discussions. Even in Asia and in Bangladesh, many people come to in the street and they are actually discussing about these issues. But My World Talent Economic Forums, we have a very strong engagement with politics. Day after tomorrow, we have a conference with the politicians. Actually, what happened, if you see in terms of humanities, honestly speaking, it's very
Or you're
bad.
positive.
It's very bad, and many political person, especially country head. Even I see that Malaysian Prime Minister, he declared even in social media, this is very bad things. It's create a very bad example how they took this Venezuela president. But secondly, if you see the impact of politics, specifically in terms of USA, recently, if you see, even though Venezuela case, you can find that he was a very good friend for China. He's buying all of his things with China and Russia. And he also criticized Trump and all of the things. Secondly, I can remember last year, that time I was in Stanford and I discussed with the Stanford head of the energies, and I just find that USA has some sort of challenge with Hormuz Canal, and as they have to buy their oil and gas and other things through Hormuz Canal, through this Middle East. So USA has a great tension in between Iran and USA through this Hormuz. So that's why I can remember this Stanford professors, and they are discussing how they can create new energy sources for USA. And this is political. You have to understand that this is very, very political issue. So USA need honestly speaking, according to my understanding, they need alternative source of oil and gas. That's why they create targeting the Venezuela. Secondly, I agree with Nick and Rick, because through this process, actually, many people through this regime change, we find many people never not died. What we see in Middle East, what we see in Afghanistan. On the other hand, Donald Trump create a pressure to Russia ally and in the Chinese ally. If you become very close to this ally, your life in threat. So in politics, everything is correct. Okay, you go for war or you go for diplomatic things. Honestly speaking, even I get many calls from Asian politicians. They are afraid after this example. Those who have a strong engagement with this China alignment, with this Russian alignment. Even though India has a very good relations with Russia. They are buying Russian oil and gas. By this time, USA. Trump actually declared he can increase tariff for USA, for India. So this is the situation and discussion. Honestly speaking, it's more like a politics. If I like Trump because he looked like he's not a hypocrite. He's real politicians, and what he said, America first. He is bringing his commitment and continuing his work. Honestly speaking, how he doing his job in a civilized way is very bad. But how he create the pressure to the other country like China, to Russia and their ally, again I mentioned, it's create a huge uh, political pressure to these politicians. So it's politics. We have to observe these things uh, in a critical way. And honestly speaking, through the Venezuela, if they make control over their oil and gas, yes, Sasha is correct. Yes, Jatovi is correct, because they have to invest a lot of money in Venezuela. But USA actually secured themselves through this process.
How is it geopolitics to take over Venezuela, saying that how does the geopolitics
It's create very
how does the geopolitics connect to the discussion that, hey, we took him out because he was a narco terrorist?
Hey, when you say oil and gas, last 40 minutes you just discuss about oil and gas. When you discuss about
the initial,
when you discuss, please, when you discuss about oil and gas, it's a U.S. interest about oil and gas. Hormuz is the biggest issues for USA. It's not me. I discuss with your policymaker. I closely working with them, and USA also threatening Iran. USA has tension with the Iran and these issues. So definitely this source of oil definitely creating positive impact for US politics. And secondly, the political, right now there is a three powerful ally. One is USA, another one is Russia, definitely, and another one is China. So it's definitely, even you see that Iran actually already declared the politician, you have to go for your secret place. It may happen with you. On the other hand, in South America, it's purely politics. And I appreciate Trump, honestly speaking, I appreciate Trump with a minimum cost of life. He do not destroy the whole Venezuela. What happened?
40 people plus have died in Venezuela. So
I appreciate. I appreciate your data. I understand, but it's a politics. For politics is politics. I appreciate your emotion.
I got a question about your politics because you're saying the politics. I get that.
It's pure politics, and it's political.
I got a question about
it's
that.
A political. It's Trump political win. That is my honest opinion.
Okay,
Trump political win in global politics. In global politics, again, by this way, he pressurized India, he pressurized Iran, he pressurized Cuba, and it's a threat. Of the political person.
But that's my question on your politics, because you're saying, oh, he pressurized this and he pressurized. What right do we have to take over another country? So here's the question. Here's where I want to put it. Real quick. Let me finish my question.
Yeah.
Because you're saying that, oh, he's putting pressure on it, so you like it because he's putting pressure on. If he takes over India, because that's putting more pressure on all of them, should we?
Okay, very good question, Jatovi. As a human, you are good. As an activist, you are good. But as a politician, it's completely different. Politics need money. Politics need blood. Politics need power. Politics is completely gamble. What we are discussing in these things, in real world politics, completely different. You agree or disagree. I appreciate your humanity. I appreciate your how you arising your questions, right? I appreciate like Sasha and everyone criticize. It will happen in the civilized society. But when you go for the political pressures and political strategy, definitely many things happen. You can check 1,000 years history.
But that doesn't answer the question. That's more or less a glaze over of, hey, look.
No. I say it's a pure political situation.
I agree.
Pure political decision. You cannot judge this thing with emotion. It's a pure political things.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is based on politics. Based on the politics. This has nothing to do with emotion. This has nothing to do with all that. I get that. But based on the politics, you're saying the takeover of Venezuela is okay. Based on the politics.
No. I do not say it's okay. I say Trump show his political diplomacy, political strategy, or political strength. It's not right or wrong. Try to understand. It's not right or wrong. It's
no, right or wrong in terms of okay. So let's not go the right or wrong route. Let's go the legal right. Let's go the legal route. Is that okay? That takes emotion out. So based on politics, what rights do we have legally to take over another country?
Look,
quick question: who's going to stop him? Who or what is going to stop him?
Okay. Very good questions. But try to understand. Let's say previously U.S. president declare war. They destroy Iraq. They destroy, example, Afghanistan. that was a good decision politically, or this time 40 people only died. Yes, I respect your logic, but 40 people died. They only took the president,
Because we are
and they
just
only changed the
starting.
regime. If you compare this US war in between Iraq, US war in between Afghanistan, US war with
I can do that.
Vietnam, yeah, yes,
Vietnam
but
was an endless war that we had to pull out of because both sides were dying. Iraq, we had a mission accomplished sign on the whole situation, and that lasted for decades. So when
hey,
it initially, when you're
look,
talking about, real quick though, Doc, when you're talking about only comparing what happened in one night to, hey, let's compare it to a decades long war, we can't do that. If you look at the initial response at both Vietnam,
I say this is better strategy.
Panama,
This is
all
better
these
strategy.
things,
Look,
we
this
all
is better
had the
strategy.
same response. It was great, but
No.
then for decades long, we had problems.
Jatavi, I think that you don't have. I respect you. Trust me. You are one of my good friend, and I respect your emotion. I respect your things. But the global politics move in a different way,
No, I
completely
get
different
that.
way.
But I'm asking you, I'm not even asking about emotion. I'm asking you about legal right. And so
Legal
when we
right
go to the
and
legal
who,
right, that has
who
no
want to lead.
emotion.
Try to understand when you want to lead this world, when you want to lead this world, when you want to control this world through politics, you have to take some tough decisions. That is the reality of politics.
No, but
That is the harsh reality.
what you're missing on what I'm saying, Doc, because you said first, the emotion. Let's take the emotion out. So we're not talking about the deaths and all the other things. We're talking about the political side. I get the political side, but then you also, when you're talking about the political side, you also have to look at the legality of the situation, because legal rights have to
Illegal.
be in place.
It's completely illegal. I said that it's
And
completely
that's
illegal.
all I'm trying to point out.
But
And if you're
it's
talking about,
politics.
I get that. Hey, look, we're going to try and control the world. We're going to divide the world up to where China has its part, Russia has its part, and the U.S. has its part. That's the old doctrines that have already been there. We all understand that part. But when you're saying, hey, well, I like this dude because, he does what politically and this and that.
Even Venezuela president has very bad record. That is also true.
What I'm just trying to point out is, regardless of liking or disliking or anything, that like and dislike is an emotion, so it doesn't matter about that. If we're talking strict politics, it talks about legal precedent and legal things.
This is truth. USA has clear impact in global politics. Even though Bangladesh, many people trust behind the regime change of Bangladesh politics, USA playing a major role. If something happened in Pakistan, if something happened in India.
Sasha's had his hand up for a while.
Yeah, Sasha's been a while. Sasha?
I think that you are mixing a bag of different actions, ideas into one. And that's why you keep talking and arguing and without any progress. You have to separate everything what's happened in Venezuela. Okay, so U.S. captured criminals, narco dealers, Maduro and his wives. That's number one action. Forget about everything else. If U.S. would go in, taking Maduro and his wife, bringing them to U.S., the end of story. Everything is going back and so on. And the trial is coming, and it will be figured out whether there are real accusations or not, or so on. So this is one, and this is plausible. You can say, yeah, he's criminal. So one criminal catch another one. So this convicted criminal Trump catch former truck driver criminal Maduro. Okay, that's not a bad scenario.
This is politics. This is completely the politics, right?
No, it's not politics. It's an act could be justified under any laws, internationals, and so on. However, that's just the beginning. Now Trump is talking about that he is going to run Venezuela. He doesn't need any Venezuelan politicians, opposition figures, or any figures at all. He is going to run Venezuela. U.S. oil companies are going in, they're going to produce, invest, sell oil, or do whatever is in their interest. So this is completely different ball game from going in and capturing Maduro and his wife. It's a different ball game. So there is one action, okay, it's done. Now there is another one. Now what I predict that if it will go into some kind of a war similar to one in Iraq, in Afghanistan, I think Venezuelan people are much more dangerous to United States and its army than Afghanistan and Iraqi people. They are resilient. They are very patriotic. They are they know their country. They know how to organize and get partisans mm, cells and how to resist. And U.S. to overwhelm it, it will require much bigger force than in Iraq and in Afghanistan and elsewhere. So we'll see what exactly U.S. got itself into. And there is no way back now, baby. Now you have to produce, you have to fight. And US so far, they proved they can fight um, Iraq, Afghanistan, and some other countries. When there comes to a real fight with real people, it remains to be seen what US will be really doing there. And don't forget that there is still support of Venezuela from Russia, from Iran, and China, maybe on a quieter note. So Venezuela is not alone. There are a lot of people who support Venezuela. They don't support Maduro. Nobody cares about Maduro because he was not good to Venezuelan people. I agree
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that.
yeah, you are correct.
He's
Correct,
gone,
yeah.
that's great. But we'll see what's happened next. And I don't think that US will be very happy camper.
And check this out, which gets into more of the politics about controlling the world, which is what you were talking about, Doc.
No, 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 no.
What's gonna-
Look, Jatovi, look. When you involve in politics, you are not in politics, right? You are not in politics, US politics. Trust me, all of your comment, if you are a real politician, will be changed. Politics not like TV show.
I'm
Politics
not
not
basing
podcast.
it on a TV
Politics
show.
not like
Just-
this
just-
showing you
just-
are good
just
man
put it
or
out.
intellectual.
I don't-
Politics need to be more crucial, more critical, more strategic, and more powerful things. That is the things I'm trying to say.
No,
We
I-
will
I-
decide
I-
as a political analyst, we will decide these things compared to other case study, and we identified is it good or bad based on other case study. And trust me, in terms of political decisions, in terms of political threat or challenging China, challenge Iran or Russia, perhaps it's my understanding, maybe I'm wrong, Trump took a better decision for USA.
Wrong. Let me explain why. Because I'm looking at it as politics as well. Because as Sasha pointed out, this is bigger than just, hey, we took over Venezuela and guess, oh, Venezuela has friends with China and Iran and stuff like that. It's bigger than that. Now, what is the difference between what we did to Venezuela than what China's about to do to Taiwan? Because hey, look, geopolitically speaking, that's what's about to happen. China's actually surrounded Taiwan with the warships. That's politics as well. So how can we push back against that? And guess even more so, wait, let me finish. Guess even more so in terms of geopolitics, now we are unable to push back against that. And guess what Taiwan has? Taiwan runs the chips of the world. And now who's going to run those chips? So geopolitically speaking, honestly, that was a bad move to go into Venezuela because now that takes away the high ground that you supposedly had because you wanted to fight over oil, which is actually a dying industry. But yet we're going to push over that. Then on top of that, now what's going on with Russia and Ukraine? Now that's going to be justified. Geopolitically speaking, just talking politics about the world, that is now going to be a hard sell. Now you have what's going to the push towards Cuba. This is not a good move, because if you look politically speaking, just at everything history wise, if you talk about Iran, if you talk about all the regime changes that the US has done, politically speaking, have all been poor. And now we're doing it again over oil. But you're stating that, hey, look, that politically speaking is going to put pressure on Russia and China. Well, if China takes over Taiwan, guess who that's going to put pressure on? That's actually the globe, because guess who uses all those chips? So therefore, you lost the battle before you even thought about it. And that's just politically speaking. That's
speaking of politically speaking, we've got to get ready to wrap up because it's time for the economic show. I think they've already started it.
Gentlemen, it's a good debate. Very good debate. I enjoyed this debate.
Later on and everything like that. But right now it's time for the economic show with David Walker. So we'll get ready to slide on over there.